I'm Heidi.
Hi, I'm Nelle.
We're one-to-one diet consultants. We put a video out every Tuesday talking about all things one-to-one diet and weight loss. And this week we are going to talk about how to choose the right step, which is just another word for the right plan out of all the ones available for the one-to-one diet. So how do you choose which one will suit you and kind of what is the process? Because it is about finding what works for you, not what works for Sharon down the road.
I love that. That's a very good way to start. When you look at somebody else's successful weight loss, it's really easy to trip up and think, I need to do the same plan as Sharon down the road because look how well it's worked for her. And what you're underestimating there is that what's working for Sharon and that magic potion that you want in on is not this very step in the plan that she was doing, so much as the fact that she was doing the right one for her. And that's what's finally made it happen, because we've all watched Sharon down the road try and lose weight. We've probably watched her lose a couple of stone and put them back on again. And we're all very familiar with that. But what's cracked it this time? What's different? Was it her mindset? Was it the plan that she was on? Was it the support that she was receiving? What was it? It was all of it that came together. So what you really need to do is lean into the one-to-oneness straight up. If you're watching this video, even the premise that you choose your step is a little bit off. That you're doing this research and that you go to a consultant and choose your step. It also depends on what your consultant thinks about this and whether we dig through your lifestyle a little bit and your exercise regime and where you're at and what your diet is. There's also eligibility criteria. Where's your BMI right now? What would be most suitable? Are you doing shift work? What kind of, how many small children are you running around after? Are you training for the half marathon? There's all of those sorts of things that, when taken into account, will much quicker get to that magic plan, don't you think? The one that Sharon's doing that's made that she's really successful this time.
Exactly, because I've had clients come to me before and they're like, I want to do the lowest step, I want to do the meal replacement only step. It's the one with the quickest
Just
losses.
assuming that it's the fastest one.
Yeah, that's the fastest in their head. And I'm like, I actually think a different plan, but okay, you're eligible for it. We will give it a whirl.
And that's what I mean. We can only ever advise, but especially if you choose Heidi and I, we will advise quite firmly, quite often.
And the thing is, they try it for a bit, but they just can't stick to it because their lifestyle is not conducive to that plan. And then what happens after a while is they sit them down and say, should we try the step that I think you should be on, which is a higher step, a bit more conventional food, a bit more flexible for your lifestyle. I've had clients that are a bit more sociable. They want to be able to eat out. They want to be able to do certain things, or they just can't get on with only 4 meal replacements a day and they really want a chicken salad and that's all they dream about. We can have that. We can do that. It's fine. And then I move into the high
step. It is more common that it.
Yeah, they're able to be consistent, get the losses they want, and feel like they're being successful, not getting demotivated every week because they can't stick to that lower step.
Yes, and 4 weeks on step 3 will lose you, on average around £10, rather than 4 weeks of trying to run into oncoming traffic, losing £5, but then putting 6 back on and then losing a 4. Our number one priority is always going to be morale. We always start from the premise of, we acknowledge that this is challenging. We acknowledge that we're asking you to do something big here. It's not difficult being on plan when it's the right plan. There aren't downsides to finding the right version of this that works for you. Yes, that requires you to keep showing up and doing the work for yourself, but really it starts with using a consultant in its old-fashioned terminology, like using a consultant who is an expert on this and can take into consideration more than you've thought of and more than you want to. That's why you're using a consultant, right? Use the kind of collective expertise and follow that advice. It does often happen the other way around, but not as
say, just as equally, it can be the opposite.
It can be, because our job is here to give you the edge and sometimes to gently challenge you of, actually, now that you're up and running and you have balanced your blood sugars and you are well hydrated and you are repeatedly showing up for yourself, you understand the plan and the relationship and what we're doing here. How about a stint on a lower step? Can I challenge you to go that little bit further and ask that little bit more of yourself? People are often much more likely to do that when they are in a well-supported place where they feel that this is getting them the results. They've proved to themselves that they're in the right place doing the right thing. But we can change step. You don't have to over subscribe yourself to any one step. It can evolve as we, as our life changes.
Yeah,
Some
lots
people
of
will
people
pick up
choose.
exercise as they're losing weight. Well, that might require a change. Quite often people will need to travel for work. Well, that's another variable that we need to work around. It is why we are so reluctant to tell you what you're going to lose. And I know that frustrates you all. I do. I feel it. Yes, on the tin, it's a stone a month. But that is also for, Sharon down the road, who is doing everything perfectly and drinking her 3 liters of water and has no social life and doesn't exercise and doesn't have Easter coming up
Isn't
and all
going through menopause, isn't on
and
any
isn't menopausal and
medication,
isn't
that doesn't
taking,
have medical conditions. All
isn't
of those
taking all sorts
things
of
have an effect.
medications, exactly. So it's really lovely that we get to tailor it in a much more bespoke way, and a lot of those things aren't as frustrating when you've kind of broken through a lot of the generic advice, because you understand why you're doing them. These are always, these are choices that we make, and we're right here alongside you to make them, and to push you to make the ones that are in your best interest. And I think that's what that glow, alongside the weight loss, I think that glow is what we can see in Sharon, and that's what we want. So don't just assume that it's the weight loss. It is all the benefits of the weight loss, combined with the sense of control and morale and self-confidence that she has in knowing that she is doing this for herself. You can't bottle that. And it doesn't necessarily just come with weight loss. Many of us have hated ourselves thin. We weren't glowing like Sharon is currently glowing.
No,
It
and it's very
doesn't.
hard to hate yourself thin. We've all tried quite a lot. It's why
I think a
often
lot
we
of
are
us.
overweight. We have tried to hate ourselves into a better position. But what is the better thing to do is, with the right support and the right plan, when you are constantly feeling like you are being successful, you are making inroads, you start getting your confidence back, you start feeling good about yourself. When you feel good about yourself, it's easier to make better, healthier decisions for yourself and keep going with the plan. It's like a little self-fulfilling prophecy. And when people talk about, I'm on a roll, my head's in the game, that's what they're talking about. They found their confidence because they're on the right step with the right support, and it's all just moving quite seamlessly, and they're a little bit surprised about how easily it's all fitting into their lifestyle.
Sometimes people can be deeply suspicious about it.
Yeah.
And it's why a few weeks ago we did a video saying, why do we ask you all these questions when you first meet us? Like, why do you want to know what time my bank shift is? We do ask some quite nosy questions, but we're only ever asking and looking at it through the lens of, okay, how is this going to affect this person's eating? How is this going to affect her morale and his sense of timing? And when are we going to put products in? What, how many steps does that involve? Is it a heavy lifting manual work? It's purely kind of like laser focused on, how is this going to affect the plan? How can we make this a good thing? How can we work around this? And that's not necessarily step 1B, but we're not saying it's not either.
I mean, that step's amazing for a lot of people.
We're very happy to be here as
Step.
the fast, sustainable, reliable, complete meal replacement. Let's take all the thinking and counting away for you.
Take the overwhelm away. Let's just get some results in there and get you feeling good.
We're just saying that that's not always the magic elixir of finding your confidence and finding your trust within yourself and with your consultant. That is our magic power. It's not just selling you the product, because anyone can do that. The magic power is in that conversation, and the collective expertise of, oh, okay, I can see what's going on here, and I can see how this person has actually basically done all the right things but hasn't been successful yet.
Yes, we're like your own personal troubleshooters. We come in, we try to look at it objectively, see what's happening, see where the patterns are, see where it's getting a bit murky, and try and work out how we can practically help with that and get you.
It's why we can't do it for ourselves. And I say that as a really experienced consultant. My goodness, if I could take my own good advice, I'd be back in my size 10 jeans next month. But every good consultant, and we have this in-house phrase that I think lots of us are familiar with, which is, every good consultant needs a good consultant. Every excellent, award-winning, shiny, sparkly consultant needs a good consultant. We all need somebody whom we trust and can be honest with, to look at our situation objectively and go, well, because it's not from not knowing. It's not from lack of knowledge. And that, I'm sure, is the same for you watching this video. It's not that you're daft or that you don't know. It's not intensive re-education. You're not watching these videos, and I'm sure that a lot of what we're saying is not new to you. It's implementing it. It's having the accountability. And the flip side of that support is the accountability. It's that very natural thing of, I will ask Heidi to chase me and say, you need to come and ask me, how is that thing you said you were going to do? Is that what you're actually doing? Or are we doing some version because we think that Sharon down the road has got some magic? You know, it's chasing human nature. These are all very natural, normal responses, but even the best consultants need somebody to come along and say, I can see what you can't see. And if we just give it that little tweak, you'll be off.
Yes. And that is the magic of the one-to-one. We have these range of plans so that we can find one that's going to work for you. But it only works when you get the expert advice that tailors it to you, because it looks very straightforward when you see the different plans.
Yeah, and what the chart doesn't show you.
Yeah,
yes, it's so true. And that's why buying them on Tinternet, you know, you can buy all the meal replacements, but the chart will only give you so much. The plan is more nuanced than that, because it really does need to, that chart is never going to take into account, you know, the morning run and the drinking water.
You know, nurses that don't ever get a break and need to eat on the run, or I have a really busy life and I care for my parents and I have 3 small children and I'm not eating for the entire day, and we need to change that up in a way that's sustainable. Or I want to have a meal with my family, but I don't want to cook from scratch. Like all of those things, it's the same basic plan, but the way we approach it, the choices you make, the timings you implement, wildly different for every single person. And that's
why if you ask a successful person, they do find it very difficult to articulate what it was that made them successful, because it is all of this, by its very nature, it's a very ephemeral thing. We troubleshoot something today and then that's gone and we've dealt with that. So and that's not going to be the same solution as it will be a week next Wednesday. So when you meet other slimmers and you say, how did you do it? Successful ones are very unlikely to say the step number. That's not how they're going to answer that question, because they've gone past that. They're not going to say, I did step 3. But oftentimes when you go into the support groups, which I'm always in, offering a bit of, you know, trying to peer-to-peer support will often lead to, well, just do step 2. Okay, I'll do step 2, because that's what it's just, and oftentimes you need to be in there as a consultant, and I'm on YouTube, you know, out there in the world, just trying to kind of just move into that grey area. And I do know how annoying that is.
Yes.
That is what we're here to do. And if you can lean into the relationship with your consultant, then you will get the right plan for you. And that's all that matters. And it should matter. You matter. It's all that matters. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. You know, weight loss is a fundamentally important project that you project manage yourself. So put your blinkers on and don't compare yourself to what anybody else is doing.
No, and weight loss is hard enough. Don't make it harder on yourself. We really are passionate about making this as easy as it can be for you as a person. And that's why we're so passionate about the one-to-ones, having regular catch up with our slimmers, always making those tweaks. Are we on the right step? Do we need to make a difference? How are things going?
Absolutely. Yeah, because all of those things that you think are completely normal might need a little bit of unpacking, so that we can, you know, clear when you did that with your hands, Heidi, you made me think of like a snowplow, you know, just clearing the next bit. Don't worry about, but it is, isn't it? It's that thing of just clearing the next bit.
But isn't that the magic of us? I say to people all the time, all you need to worry about is what you're going to do this week. The benefit of me is you get to absolve all responsibility to me. I have to worry about the future. I have to worry about what you're doing next week or in a couple of weeks, or when do we step up. You haven't got to worry about that for the minute, because you've got us as experts.
And you don't have to know, because we know. We know what happens
and we
next.
will explain it as you go along in manageable bite-sized chunks, so it doesn't become overwhelming, so it is achievable, so it does fit in with your lifestyle.
Exactly. And although the fundamental pillars of the plan will remain the same, because that is the plan and that is heavily researched and works, and within that, the way we explain it to you will be different than the way we explain it to somebody else, because they're not dealing with the same things you are. Also taking into account that a lot of our role here is to work with the way that you communicate and the way that you need support. Some people need to see things written down. Can you write that down for me, Nelle? Can you print that off for me, Nelle? Can you send that in a video? You're probably a very audio visual learner, because you're here on YouTube, and that's the way that you've chosen to, you know, learn and do your research and you know more about the diet and who we are. But some people need that done in a voice message. Some people need to see it written down in a text message. It's all of those sorts of nuances, and that's what good quality support should look like in any area.
Yeah. And if you're watching this going, I don't care about the step. What's the quickest way to lose weight? Get to the point. I'm just going to say the quickest step is the one you can stick to consistently until you get to your goal. That's it.
If you try and outrace yourself, oftentimes it's the old run before you can walk. Oftentimes you end up flat on your face. So, you know, take it on the chin that we might say, let's walk, let's jog before we start, you know, because you will end up being one of those runners, but it's a bit couched to 5K. We're just gonna sprint for 30 seconds, and then we're just gonna slow it right down, and then we're gonna build on that. If your ultimate goal is to end up on Soul Source, you know, yeah, you'll be there much quicker if we start here, and just build up to it. Other people are very happy to come along and start straight on Soul Source. That's not uncommon at all. It happens every single week when we take on new slimmers. It's a high stakes game. Not everybody makes it through, but we have discussed talking about a video about preparation stages and how to make that stick. So I think that would be a really good follow up to this video. You know, if you really want to do that and you're eligible to do it, let's give you all the best possible advantage, because that's what's going to be the deal breaker, and you'll love it. The point is you'll love whatever the plan is, because it's your plan. All of the things that we're talking about work. We're talking about getting the highest return on your investment, financially, in terms of your willpower, your motivation to do it, your time, your energy. We want to give you the biggest bang for your buck. The more you show up for those calls, the better we know where your blind spots are, the better we know what your strengths are, the better we can advise you.
Exactly. And as someone who's been back on plan at the beginning of this year, choosing the right step is imperative. So I knew that I just needed something that I didn't have to think about. So I did Soul Source for 4 weeks, got, you know, just under a stone off, happy days, felt so much better, suddenly had loads of energy, got my confidence back, found my mojo, was like, yes, I'm doing it. Then I moved house. But the key is I just moved to a higher step and managed to maintain those losses at around that stone mark, get through that, have the skills, the tools, the support to not put all that weight that I lost before the move back on.
And one thing was that food wasn't so overwhelming. Once you got that really near damn it stone off, going back to food, the responsibility wasn't so overwhelming. You could juggle that really well. Whereas if you just tried to do it with food at that point, I think the overwhelm was just gonna, house move is very stressful. Tip any, you know, the strongest person in the world just over the edge a little bit.
You know, during the move, I need to be on that higher step. I need more flexibility. I needed something in the transition. And now I'm going to come back to the plan, start moving back down the steps to a slightly lower step to give me those bigger losses as we move into spring now post the move. But the most exciting thing to me, and it never, like, you can be a consultant for years and you will never not be impressed by the magic of the plan. I don't think, especially when it affects you as an individual, to weigh in post move and be exactly pretty much where I was before I started the move process and have not put the weight back on, and being a really good launch point to be like, right, and now I can carry on with the rest of my weight loss.
That's the thing. We're not trying to talk you out of doing the all meal replacement by any means, but that is such a good example, and it's so good to hear that it really just it renews our faith in all the advice that we're giving, when you can do when you, Heidi, can demonstrate that you can do exactly that kind of rapid reset, that really kind of go for it and then maintain it, and reassure yourself that food is not the enemy. We don't have to do meal replacement. We're not under the thumb. By all means do it, but do it of your own free will, and then be able to come back to it on your own terms. I think that's what a lot of what we're saying is, isn't it? Is that what we love about what Sharon's doing is that she's doing it on her own terms. She's making it work, and that's impressive.
We're passionate about giving you choice. You should be able to choose how it's going to work for you. You should have the choice to make this work for you. And we want to put you in the driver's seat so that you can make informed choices, because that's not only how we lose the weight, but it's how we keep it off in maintenance as well. Being able to make informed choices, to have the skills and the tools we need to see us through.
Now you've moved closer to me. You are Sharon up the road. You are the woman that I'm looking at going, I want that. I want what she's got. I want in on some of that. How'd you do it?
So if you would like in on some of that, we are always open for new slimmers, returners. We will never turn people away. go have a look. Our details are in the description box. You can either contact us for more information, get one of our information packs, or if you're like, I'm ready, I'm done, let me in, there is a link to book an appointment straight away for a new consultation, and we will get you set up as quickly as we possibly can. If you have any other comments or questions, please do put them in the comments and we will happily reply to you. But we put a video out every Tuesday at 5. Please subscribe so you don't miss the future uploads, and we will see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.